Welcome to another installment of the Yakima Symphony Orchestra's Stories from Home, a series of interviews presented by Valley Mall and available at ysomusic.org. My name is Lawrence Golan, and I'm the Helen N. Jewett Music Director of the Yakima Symphony Orchestra. I'm coming to you today from my home in Denver, Colorado, and I'm speaking with Jeff Snedeker, the principal horn of the Yakima Symphony Orchestra, who's coming to us from his home in Ellensburg, Washington. Hello, Jeff. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, Lawrence. Every once in a while I get some fresh air. Every once in a while I see an actual human being, in the distance, and I try to wave to them in hopes that I know who they are. But anyway, no, my job at Central Washington University, I am very fortunate that we are able to offer our teaching, online. It's not the best of circumstances, especially in music, but I feel fortunate that I'm able to do my job. I know others are having much more difficult times, but I figure together we can get through this. And as I say, I feel very fortunate. So we're figuring it out as we go along.
Good, good. So tell us, Jeff, how long have you been playing with the Yakima Symphony Orchestra?
Well, it's funny. I was trying to, at a certain point in time, you run out of fingers. But I started okay, I arrived at Central for a 6-month temporary contract in January of 1991, January, mid-year. My successor was having health problems, and I was just brought in and to help for 6 months. The first time I played with the orchestra was as a sub about 2 weeks later, which was a surprise to me. I didn't, come to Ellensburg expecting to play in any symphony. But that would be, so 1991, that's 28 years as of right now, going on 29.
Okay. It's interesting you said that because my predecessor, Brooke Creswell, also came to the Yakima area thinking he was coming for, I think, a 1-year position or possibly a 2-year position, and then wound up staying, the rest of his life and
Yep.
was with the Yakima Symphony Orchestra for 40 years
Yeah,
before he retired. So you're not the only one.
that's true.
So you've been with the orchestra 28 years. In that time, what has been your most memorable concert or perhaps the most memorable piece that you've played with the orchestra?
Wow. Well, obviously there are lots. I think, when we think about our most memorable performances, they sort of fall into two categories. One is the concert or the piece of music that we thought we'd never get to play, and then we do. And it's so exciting and thrilling. And then there's the other thing that we tend to think of is the concert that we weren't sure we could survive, and somehow we did, and that sort of, we remember those things. I could come up with any number, like the first time we played a Strauss tone poem, the first time we played Till Eulenspiegel. Bruckner 4 was huge for me. I'd been wanting to play that for 40 years. And last year, I kept thinking to myself, at my age, I really wish we could have played this 20 years ago, But it was marvelous to make it all the way through Ein Heldenleben. What a thrill! What a thrill! But I have to say that the word memorable, it can have other layers to it, and I have to say that probably the most memorable performance that I've had is we are going to have another performance of the same piece next year. Um, uh, uh, my colleague here, my trumpet colleague, Tom Gauze, who was here or arrived here about the same time I did at Central, and we talked together for over a decade. He tragically passed away from colon cancer, and within a couple of weeks of his passing, we played the Tchaikovsky Fifth, and it still chokes me up, even right now, to think about that and to sort of play that piece with him in the forefront of my mind. Still to this day is something that I will never forget. I'll never forget the feeling of just the outpouring of angst, of emotion, of feeling associated with playing that piece so close to the passing of someone who, you know, was a good friend, an outstanding colleague, a marvelous musician. So you know, we have people pass, they are memorable for various reasons. I will always remember that performance, however, for that reason.
Great. And of course, I should add that the Tchaikovsky Symphony Number 5 has one of the most famous, iconic principal horn solos in the entire repertoire.
Yes. There's a lot of shaking going on in the back while we're sitting there waiting for it to start. Those cellos start playing and everything kind of goes, okay, take deep breaths, you know.
Yeah,
But
so
it's
I'm
beautiful.
looking forward to hearing you play that next year.
Looking forward to playing it.
Yeah, well, actually, that's a perfect segue into my next question, which maybe you've already answered, which is next season, what are you most looking forward to playing?
Well, obviously, playing the Czech Five, as we call it, is really going to be a treat. I feel very fortunate that to have played it several times, including the time that I mentioned, and every time it comes along, you know, you're on a different point in your life, different feelings, different associations, and so on. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the season as well. But I have to tell you, the piece that I'm looking forward to the most is I'm looking forward to it out of sheer excitement and sheer terror.
I know what you're going to say.
I know. Now, in fairness, I've played that piece a few times before too, but I have never played the principal part. And I'm talking, of course, about Mahler's Fifth Symphony, which is, I got to tell you, it's up there with Heldenleben and Bruckner Fourth Symphony and all these other pieces where the horns, it's like you have a heat lamp spotlight on you the entire hour, hour and a half, 7 hours, however long. I don't even know how long the piece lasts, but it's just a huge undertaking. And I have to tell you that the idea that the Yakima Symphony can play that piece, and it is truly remarkable. As I think back to, you know, what things were like when we started, it was always an enthusiastic orchestra. It was always an orchestra interested in improving and getting better and so forth. But the idea of playing something of the breadth and depth of Mahler's Fifth Symphony is truly remarkable. Well, frankly, at any time it happens for the first time, it's amazing. But I have to say, the idea that we're doing this now, this season for the first time, it's a real testimonial or a testament to the orchestra's progress. Because, you know, 20 years ago, we might go, Mahler 5? What? You know, but now, because of the pieces that we played, because of the growth that we've experienced, and, you know, the repertoire that you have programmed, that, you know, we built on the foundation that Brooks set, all of that has led to, you know, I saw the brochure and I went, Mahler 5. Okay, all right, let's give it a shot. But that, I have to confess though, that's another one that I wouldn't have minded playing this part 20 years ago rather than right now. It's a whole different,
Right?
yeah, it's a whole different preparation process at age 61.
Well,
But
you picked up totally on the whole point of why we're doing it. Because, you know, this is our 50th season, and that's exactly what we're doing is celebrating the growth of the Yakima Symphony Orchestra, how far we've come. And in fact, the season title is In Full Bloom. You know, we started as a seed, we planted some roots, have blossomed, and now we are in full bloom and are just a bona fide professional symphony orchestra. And Mahler 5 is the piece on the entire season to exemplify that.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a marvelous challenge. What's really encouraging, I think, though, is that you have continued to sort of raise the bar over the years, and each time it's been fun to watch the orchestra kind of go, oh, can we, yeah, and then actually succeed. I mean, you could say Rite of Spring, you could say, you know, any other of the larger works that we've done. You know, it's just, right, we've just sort of been building to this. And you know, of course, that begs the question, so let's say we get through it in good form. Now what? Yeah.
What comes after Mahler 5? That's a great question.
Well, it's all right. Let's get through it first before we worry about it. But no, it's going to be a wonderful challenge. It really is.
It is remarkable. I've really noticed this over the years with the Yakima Symphony Orchestra and other orchestras I've worked with, that almost without fail, the one piece that is the, you know, by far and away the big challenge piece of the year, if not the decade, is the one that they sound the best on. They just rise to the occasion and really love that challenge, and it shows. So I am fully confident that the Mahler 5 performance is going to be the highlight of the season.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. There's this, I hear this, it's sort of coming through the sound waves of the universe. It's something like, if you program it, they will practice, you know. Most times that works. I'm not sure every time, but most times it works.
That's right. So Jeff, you know, everybody knows, of course, about your wonderful horn playing, your teaching at the university, and even our Yakima Symphony Orchestra patrons know you as the host of our pre-concert lectures. What I'm wondering right now is, there's something that everybody might not know about you, some interesting fact or tidbit that might be surprising to some people.
You know, I gave this a lot of thought because I'm such an open book, you know, I mean, but I even actually consulted with family members to say, you know, what do you think, what of all my strange little quirks or, you know, things like that, would someone else actually be interested in? And of course they were like, nothing, you know, there's nothing interesting about you. And that's fair from family members, they know. But it sort of boiled down to two things, and I'm going to give you only one of them. We'll save the other one for another time. But something that people may not know about me, once they find out, they may not be surprised. But for most of the 1980s, I participated in something that's very different from what I do now. I was actually the music director and a musical performer at the Utah Shakespeare Festival. And so as a result, I wound up playing all kinds of strange Renaissance instruments. I could have been the best cornetto player in the state of Utah. Who knows? And who's going to argue, right? But playing sackbuts and crumhorns and recorders, and even played a little sort of sitar, cittern, not sitar. Ooh, no. But and a lot of if folks in this region have been to the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, where there's a lot of outdoor entertainment and stuff like that that surrounds the plays, I was very active in that. Did all kinds of character work. Was on stage for a lot of Shakespeare plays as a musician, never as an actor. They wouldn't let me go there. But I did that for most of the 80s. The Shakespeare Festival itself has grown over the years. During that period of time, it was a summer repertory theater, and we did, between concerts and outdoor events and the plays themselves, we did 18 shows a week, where in repertory. So it was like a 3-day rotation twice. And I was involved in that. If anybody watching this happens to have been at the Shakespeare Festival between certainly 1984 and 1990, and they had a video camera, and they videotaped anything outside, they probably have a picture of me doing something like, "My lord, what is that growing out of your head?" You know. So there's probably more than you wanted to know there, but that is a little known fact. And by the way, all the visual evidence of me wearing tights have been purged from the internet, so don't bother.
Okay, because I was just about to get on Google because I want to see you in tights.
No, no, you don't actually, but you won't find it anyway. I check every week. No, I don't. Not really.
Well, great. Well, thank you for that. I know that our audience really misses hearing you play. So would you mind playing something for us?
Sure. I was also going to offer a choice for that, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give us a teaser for next year, and that means you know what's coming.
I do indeed.
Look, I'm actually practicing. It's great.
Thank you, Jeff. That, of course, was the beautiful horn solo that opens the second movement of Tchaikovsky's Symphony Number 5, and our audience will have the pleasure of hearing that on opening night of our 50th season this coming fall. Jeff Snedeker, principal horn of the Yakima Symphony Orchestra, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, you bet, Lawrence. And to all the symphony audiences, my crew at the concert talks, and to all of our audiences, we miss you very much. To share music with real human beings is really what it's all about. So please stay healthy, take care, and just hope for the best. We want to be in your presence next season as soon as possible.
Well said.